Hello and welcome to the Girl That Went For It podcast. I'm your host, Johanna Scholz, also known as Johanna Lian on Instagram, and author of Believe in Life, How to Dance in the Rain. If you want to live your dream life and become the best version of yourself, then this podcast is for you. I hope that I can inspire and encourage you to never give up and to always believe in yourself. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, Johanna_Liana, for daily content. And now enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome back to my new episode. This episode is about a really important topic that I feel like we do way too often, and probably everyone who's listening has done it in the past. So this one is about comparing yourself. And I'm just sitting here on my bed, have my podcast set up, my notes, my journal, because these thoughts just came to me and I was like, I'm gonna have to make this an episode, because I know that a lot of, especially girls, I think, I'm not sure, maybe guys as well, compare themselves to someone else. So if you compare yourself to anyone, this episode is for you, and I hope it will help you to stop comparing yourself. So I know we all did it in the past. Let's say at school you compare yourself to your classmates in the sports class or in art class because someone draw better than you did, or I think also like in a hobby you play tennis, football, or whatever you do, and you compare yourself to your teammates. And especially when we're like, I would say like 13, 15, 16, it's like where the time where our bodies are changing and we become a woman and we start comparing ourselves. I know there's this one thing, I was in a girls' school, and you know how you, like, I mean, at that time, like at that age, you get your period and you start comparing yourself to the others if you haven't had your period yet, and then like you just think like something's wrong with you because maybe your period hasn't started yet and stuff like that. Or also with having your first kiss, having your first boyfriend, and all those things. So yeah, I wish I knew back then that I don't have to compare myself to anyone, or I shouldn't compare myself to anyone. And also with like magazines and watching TV shows, we compare ourselves to the people that we see on there. Social media nowadays is a really big thing. A lot of people compare themselves to the people they follow. Back when I was like 15, there was only Facebook, and I think Instagram started when I was like 16, 17. But I remember I compared myself to Gossip Girl. Like, why? But I remember I compared myself to the girls in Gossip Girl because all of my girlfriends back then, we all watched Gossip Girl. And I don't know, I wanted to be as skinny as, I think, Jenny from Gossip Girl. I even wrote that in my journal, and when I read my journal, my old journal, a couple of years ago, and I read this entry, like the journal entry, I was like, oh my gosh, like I wish I could talk to my younger self and tell her, you don't have to look like people in magazines or TV shows, and you can't compare yourself to someone. Like, you don't know what they're going through. You don't even know if they're happy, how they look, and you don't know how their life looked like. You don't know how their day looks like. So it doesn't make sense. Like, in general, it doesn't make sense at all to compare yourself to anyone. So that was totally, like, that was bullshit, if I can say it like that. And the thing is as well, like, now with social media, I think it's even worse because young girls start like watching TikToks and Instagram Reels, and they see like this little snippet, like 10 seconds of this perfect relationship, for example, and 10 seconds of this perfect day. But the thing is, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. You don't know how this person feels in real life. You don't know what this person is actually going through in real life. You don't even know if this person is as happy as it looks on Instagram. So it doesn't make sense for you like to compare yourself with those people, because you only see this little snippet out of the day, and you don't know how much they worked to get there where they are right now, if it's like, yes, like an influencer or like a star or whatever, you don't know how much they sacrificed to get where they are today. And you don't know how many years they work for it, and you don't know how often they fail, because a lot of people don't post when they fail. You will only see like the end product. You won't know how many times they tried to get where they are now, and you only see like the end product. So here's just an advice or something I can tell you. Focusing on other people's life won't bring you any further. It won't bring you like anywhere, because you are unique and you are you, and that is your power. No one is like you. No one has the experience you have. No one, like, we are all different. We all grow up in a different environment. We all have different connections. We have different opportunities, different strengths, different talents, different core values, different ways of seeing the world. So we are all different, so it doesn't make sense to compare yourself to anyone. And it's so beautiful that we are all different and unique, and we should embrace that and focus on ourselves. Because if you start comparing your start point, where you're starting, to someone else's end point or like goal, you will probably get unmotivated to follow your goal, because you feel like, oh, I'm like here, and where I want to be, she is up here. And you don't know how many times this girl who's up here failed. So please don't compare yourself to the person who achieved your goal, because it doesn't make sense. You can, of course, see them as an inspiration, but please never ever compare yourself to them, because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I say, like I said earlier, you don't know how they really feel. The only thing that counts is you versus you yesterday. Focus on what you can achieve in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year. Like, focus on what you can achieve, because everyone's day life looks different. So it doesn't make sense to compare what you can achieve in a year with someone else, because you don't know how long they've been working towards that, and you just can't compare where you are right now with someone else, because you never know what they've been through, what they've worked for, how much they're sacrificed. If you focus on what's realistic to you, for you to achieve in a day, in a week, because all our days and weeks look different, we have different jobs. If you focus on what you can achieve, you will get so much further than focusing on what other people achieve in a day or in a week. I just want to share like an experience from myself, or I just want to show you this example of me moving across the world. So I try to be as transparent as I can be. I try to share my ups and downs and share behind the scenes. But again, I don't share my whole life on social media. That would be so exhausting, and I actually don't want to film myself the whole day or like show up every time on social media. But what you see is me moving to the other side of the world and achieving this goal. But what I didn't share in the past, like over the last 7 years, I put money aside to make this dream come true, and I worked hard, and I put time aside, spent heaps of time on the immigration website, and heaps of time working on my goal, and saving money and all that. And I didn't share all of that in my Instagram stories or YouTube videos, so you don't really see all the things that happened before that. And it might look so easy on the outside, but it wasn't always easy. So for example, what I also didn't share, all the sacrifices I did in the past. So maybe not going to this event, or not going on this holiday, or buying this thing I really wanted because I wanted to save the money for moving to New Zealand. So I didn't share all these things because, as I said, I don't share everything on social media. So I just want to remind you that what you see is always the outcome, even though I try to share as much as possible, like real live moments on Instagram. And also with I share a lot about the loss of my brother and how I deal with grief, but I don't share every day or every time I feel sad. I don't share all of that, or I don't share how much I miss my family that lives in Germany, and I haven't seen them in like 3 years because of COVID and all that. So I don't share all these feelings every time. I'm sometimes share how I felt last week, or just share like a little summary of what's going on in my head, but I don't always share these things that I deal with daily, weekly. So this is just a reminder that what you see on social media is not always the whole picture. So I really want to invite you to, when you want to achieve your goals and your dream life, to only focus on yourself. So back when I was in Germany, moving to New Zealand, or planning my move to New Zealand, I only focused on myself. And of course I looked up inspiration in other people. I joined Facebook groups and figured out how other people did it and how they immigrated to New Zealand. But I knew it wouldn't bring me any further if I would focus on other people's journey. What I had to focus on was my journey and how I could make it work. And because I knew it wouldn't bring me any further if I would only focus on what other people achieved, and maybe it would even make me sad seeing like what other people achieved and I'd be on my first step towards my big goal, and it just doesn't make sense. So therefore, my number one tip is focus on you. Block time during the week for yourself to pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to what's going on inside you, to spend time alone and figure out what it is that you actually want in your life, what it is that you want to achieve, and how you can achieve it. Because as I said, everybody has a different life and different week. The weeks look different, like work timetable and stuff like that. So block some time in your week and figure out how you can achieve, or what you can achieve in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, to get further to your goals. So what is realistic to you and your goals, without comparing yourself to anyone, because you are on your journey, and your journey is so beautiful, and you should embrace it, and you should embrace the ups and downs, because that's what life is about. We're failing and we stand up again, and we take the second chance and third chance, and we'll make it if we don't give up. So yeah, I hope this episode inspired you to focus on yourself, to stop comparing yourself, because it just doesn't make sense. It won't bring you any further. You won't achieve your goal if you compare yourself to someone else. And also, you are unique, and that is so amazing and wonderful, and it just doesn't make sense if you compare yourself to someone else. And you never know what's going on in someone else's life, so please stop comparing yourself. Well, that does it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in today. If you like this episode and don't want to miss any new ones, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Feel free to share it with your friends or on social media. It really means a lot to me. It will help me to create this podcast. You can find me on Instagram, Johanna_Liana. I'm always happy to connect, so flick me a message if you want. Enjoy the rest of your day, and always remember, it's a beautiful day to have a good day. It's a beautiful day to be alive.